Hello everyone, my name is Nael. I'm a computational journalist and the creator of Code Like a Journalist, a free online open source course about data analysis and data visualization. If you want to know when new lessons are available, subscribe to the newsletter or add a star to the GitHub repository. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about using libraries. I have VS Code open over here. We can open a new folder and start working. So let's start by creating a JSON file and a main.ts file. Here we go. So libraries are open source projects that other people are just publishing, making them available to anyone to download and reuse. It's free, open source that can help you in your projects. There's two main registries. So registries are where the libraries are published. You have NPM and you have JSR. Some libraries are available just on NPM, some are just on JSR, and others are on both. We're going to start with NPM. So NPM has been around for quite a while now and was acquired by GitHub in 2020, and GitHub is owned by Microsoft. And there's more than 3 million libraries on NPM, and they are being downloaded around 8 billion times a day. So NPM is huge. Millions of people are using it all the time. You can publish open source libraries for free. And if you want to publish private libraries, you can do that too, but you will need a paid plan. By the way, when I'm talking about libraries, sometimes I'll be using packages and modules. Just assume that it's the same thing. So what we could do right now is to try to install a library from NPM. We are going to search for D3, which is a well-known library for data visualization that we will use in later projects. So you can go on npm.js. And in there you have a search bar and you can search for D3. Here we go. And you can select the first one, this one by Mike Bostock. Here we go. And now you have the NPM page for D3. You have a lot of information over here. So this is the README. You have some links to documentation, examples. You have a link to the GitHub repository over there, the homepage if the library has a website, and the weekly downloads. So you can see that D3 is widely used. You also have access to the license, all kind of information. You also know who are the people publishing D3 on NPM, Mike Bostock and Récif, which is Philippe Rivière, two well-known open source developers and data scientists that are they do quite an amazing job, including several open source libraries like D3. So when you need to decide between different libraries, you need to decide which one to use. Make sure to use one that ideally is widely used, is often maintained, not too old. Go check the GitHub repository. Just check who are the people publishing it, just to try to avoid downloading potentially dangerous libraries. I mean, this is code that someone else wrote, right? So you need to be careful. But usually open source projects that are popular are quite safe. D3 is totally fine. So if you want to install D3, it's pretty simple. In your terminal, you can do Deno add npm d3. So here we are saying, hey Deno, I want to add a library. The library is on npm and its name is D3. I know it's D3 because you have the name over here. And also that's the name of the library over here. So I know that D3 exists on NPM. And if you do this, so now D3 has been added. So the first time that you're going to run this, it might take a few seconds because the library will be downloaded and then stored on your computer in a cache that Deno is maintaining on your computer. But the second time, the third time that you're going to reinstall the library, it will be extremely fast because Deno won't fetch it again if the version has not changed. It will check if the latest version is the same as the one that it has in cache. And if it's the same, it will just retrieve it from the cache. So it will be really, really fast. Installing libraries with Deno is nice for that. And now you'll notice that you have a few things now. First, your Deno.json has been changed. So you see that you have imports now, and you can see that Deno version 7.9.0 on NPM has been imported, and you can use it as Deno, as sorry, not Deno, D3, and you can use it as D3 in your code. You also have a Deno.lock. Don't worry about it. This is extra information for Deno to make sure that all of the libraries are working as expected. Don't worry about it. And so now we can do something fun. So for example, here we have our a CSV file that we saw in the previous lesson. You see this CSV file. It's not very convenient to use that, right? If we run Deno run watch check -a, -a because we want to fetch something, we need to authorize this main.yes. So you see that we have a big chunk of text, but this is not, we cannot use that directly, right? We will need to convert that to something more convenient, like an array of objects, for example. And D3 has a function to do that. There's a function called CSV parse. So we can update our code. You see that we can update our code. So you can see that now I'm importing CSV parse from D3. This is how you can use functions, classes, data, anything really from libraries. Import with what you want to import from the library. Here the library is D3. We installed it. And CSV parse is a function that can parse CSV files. When we imported functions or JSON files in previous lessons, we weren't using curly brackets like this. Because in our files, we were just exporting one thing, right? We exported one function in a file. But here D3 exports many things. So we use curly brackets to say, hey, in everything that D3 is exporting, I just want CSV parse. I don't need the rest. Here we are fetching the CSV file like we did in the fetching data. It's a CSV, so we parse it as text, right? And now this text, which is in the variable data, we pass it to CSV parse. And this function here will parse a CSV string and transform it as an array of objects. So if you save, you'll see now that your function, your data has been converted as an array of objects. And you use the CSV parse function from D3 to do that. Pretty nice. So yeah, that was really easy. This is how you can import a library from NPM and use it in your code. We will use libraries and their functions in the next lessons, in the next projects. Don't worry about it. This was just a really quick example to show you how to search a library on NPM and how to use it. Now let's talk about JSR. So JSR was announced in 2024. It's a new registry It's maintained by the Deno team, and it's a more modern approach to libraries. It's specifically for TypeScript libraries, and yeah, you can publish libraries very easily on JSR. I find it a little bit easier than with NPM. It's open source, and of course it's free. It's very nice. So to install a JSR library, it's very similar to NPM. So let's say that we would like to parse our data again, our CSV data again, but this time with a library that is hosted on JSR. So JSR. So we can go to the website. Here's the website. Here you can see that we have a search bar like with NPM, and let's search for CSV. When we search for CSV, we have different things available, and there's one that is standing out, this one, std/CSV. So at std is the standard library from Deno. It's a standard library with a lot of functions to do all kind of very useful things. It's maintained by Deno. It's well tested. You can trust that code. And when you need something and it's offered by the standard library, this usually should be your go-to choice. So you can click on it. And now you can see that this is the standard library CSV page, reading and writing comma-separated value files. You have an example. For example, if you want to parse a CSV, you can use parse like this after installing the library. So we can install it. Again, you have a lot of information on the page. It's always important to check to make sure that the code is trustable, that you can use it without worrying too much. You have access to the GitHub repository. Here we know that it's being published by the Deno team. It's updated quite often, so this is looking great. So to install this library in our project, we can do the same thing, Deno add, except instead of NPM, we are going to say JSR because it's on JSR, at std/CSV. Here we go. And it has been added. If we check our Deno.json, you can see that we have D3 that we installed before, and now we have the CSV library from the Deno's team. And we can use it. So the code will be very similar. Now, instead of importing from D3, we are importing from the CSV standard library. We are going to use parse. We fetch the data, we parse it as text, and then we want to transform this CSV data to an array of objects. We pass in the data, which is string right now. There's an extra option that we need to pass for it to work as expected. You need to tell it that the first row is just the column's headers, and we can run this. Here we go. And as you can see, it worked as well. We have our data parsed as an array of objects. And voila, that's it. This is how you can use open source libraries. It's really, really easy. Libraries that are hosted on NPM or JSR. If you enjoyed this lesson, subscribe to the newsletter, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and give a star to the GitHub's repo.